Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go!
My ex-wife is a dedicated elementary school teacher. Even after our divorce, we kept a good relationship and I continued volunteering at her school. I've always enjoyed helping teachers with things they don't have time for, creating bulletin boards, organizing supply closets, laminating materials, you name it. The staff liked the extra hands, and it was my way of supporting education in our community. I'm pretty artistic, so my specialty became the seasonal bulletin boards. The teachers would give me a theme, and I'd transform their ideas into colorful displays that made the hallways pop. The kids loved seeing the new designs, and it was a nice creative outlet for me. One Tuesday morning in October, I dropped my ex-wife off at school. The staff had an early meeting, so I figured I'd update the main entrance bulletin board with some autumn-themed art while they were busy. I was wearing my visitor badge on my shirt as required by school policy. I was about halfway through taking down the old display when a woman walked in with a child who looked about 7 years old. Without a greeting, she walked right up to me. She told me to take her son to the cafeteria, pushing the kid toward me. I was surprised by her rudeness, but I tried to be polite. I said I didn't work at the school, pointing to my visitor badge, which said visitor in large letters. I told her she would need to take him in herself. She ignored the badge, looking at me. The woman then told me to take her child and escort him, saying that she paid my salary. Her tone was commanding, as if I was being bad by not following her orders. I almost laughed at how ridiculous this was. I told her again that I didn't work at the school and she definitely didn't pay my salary. I turned back to the bulletin board thinking the talk was over. I needed to finish this project before heading to my actual job, where I was expected in less than an hour. That's when I felt a hand grab my shoulder and spin me around. When I turned, my visitor badge, which was on a retractable cord, swung out and hit her right in the eye. She started screaming that I had attacked and hurt her. Her screaming was so loud it echoed through the hallway. Within seconds, the staff meeting ended because teachers started coming out to see what was happening. My ex-wife and the principal rushed over. The woman holding her eye had already pulled out her phone and was calling the police. I heard her telling them that she needed police at the elementary school immediately because a staff member had hurt her when she asked him to help her son. The principal tried to fix the situation while I told my ex-wife what happened. The principal tried to calm the woman down and explained that I wasn't an employee but a volunteer. The woman wasn't interested in this. She said I had attacked her and refused to do my job, demanding that I be fired. My ex-wife stepped in. She told the principal that I wasn't her husband anymore but said I was just a volunteer. She said I had no right to escort students anywhere and that doing so would break their safety rules. The woman refused to listen. She said she knew how schools worked and said they all were covering for me. She said she would report everyone to the school board. Her son looked embarrassed, standing quietly against the wall during his mother's anger. I felt bad for him. The principal sent a staff member to get the security footage. In our district, all entrances have cameras for safety, a fact this woman didn't know. Within 15 minutes, 2 police officers arrived. They separated us to take statements. I told what happened, as did the principal and my ex-wife. The woman kept saying I'd attacked her on purpose and should be arrested. When the officers watched the security footage, it showed everything. Me politely saying no, her grabbing me, and the accident with my badge. They came back to talk to each of us. One officer told the woman that the video showed she had grabbed me first. He told her that I did not hurt her and that her actions caused the badge to hit her eye. She didn't accept this, saying the video must have been changed, and saying again that I had attacked her. The officers then asked me if I wanted to press charges for her grabbing me. I thought about it for a moment. Normally, I would have let it go, but her behavior was so bad and she was trying to get me in trouble for something I didn't do. I told them yes, I would like to press charges. The woman's face turned red when she heard this. She said in shock that they couldn't be serious and said again that she was the victim. When the officers went to detain her, she lost control. She started swinging her arms, hitting one officer in the chest and kicking the other in the shin. They had to hold her down while she yelled bad words at everyone. She said we would all pay for this, saying she knew important people and would sue the school. The kids started crying, and my ex-wife went to comfort them. The officers called for someone to come get the child while they took his mother away in handcuffs. What started as a simple problem turned into multiple charges: assault for grabbing me and attacking police officers during her arrest. I later learned she got 6 months in prison and 500 hours of community service. I still volunteer at the school, but now there is a new rule that visitors must check in at the office first before going anywhere in the building. I think about that poor kid every time I walk by that bulletin board. I hope he's doing okay. I work at a small store on a college campus. We're technically a branch of the school's bookstore, located right across the street from the main location. It's a decent job for a student like me, usually not too stressful, flexible hours that work with my class schedule, and my co-workers are cool. Every semester, the bookstore hosts this big poster sale in a tent outside their main building. The whole operation is completely leased out to some external company. They come, set up their tent, sell posters for a week, then pack up and leave. Our store has absolutely nothing to do with it, except that we're asked to hand out flyers advertising the event. I couldn't tell you what our bookstore even gets out of the arrangement, but it's definitely not a cut of the sales. This semester just started, and despite all the pandemic chaos still lingering in America, our school decided to go ahead with mostly in-person classes. We've been getting a lot more phone calls than usual instead of people coming into the store, which I actually prefer. Less face-to-face interaction means less risk, so I'm always grateful when people call instead. But today I got a call that was different. The phone rang around 10:45 a.m. and I was already having a rough morning. 2 co-workers had called out sick, so I was alone in the store trying to handle everything by myself. I answered the phone with our standard greeting, identifying our store and offering help. The caller told me that he had spoken with someone at our store earlier about the poster sale details and was calling back to ask about the prices of the posters. I said sorry and told him that I didn't know the prices since the poster sale wasn't actually part of our division. I told him that we only knew the dates and times because of the flyers we were asked to distribute. The caller then asked if I could go check the prices for him. I apologized again and told him that the poster company didn't have a website, and that all the posters came in different sizes with different prices. I offered to transfer him to the main bookstore, suggesting someone there might be able to help. Instead of accepting my offer, the caller said I should just go across the street to check for him, pointing out how close the poster sale was to our store. He made it sound like a simple favor that would only take a second. At this point, I looked around the empty store. I was the only employee present. The register was open. There was merchandise everywhere. And this random stranger wanted me to abandon my post to go price check posters for him at a tent sale run by a third-party company. I told him that I couldn't leave the store. The caller seemed confused by this response. He repeated his request, mentioning how close the poster sale was to our location and how little time it would take. His tone suggested he thought I was being difficult. I was taken aback. This man, who wasn't even a customer, was asking me to exit my workplace during my shift to get information about another retailer's products. I tried again to explain that I was clocked in at my store and couldn't leave. The caller's tone turned sarcastic as he asked if I was literally, physically incapable of leaving the store. By this point, my patience was gone. It was only 11 a.m. and this day was already a nightmare. I decided to play along with his sarcasm and said yes, I was physically incapable of leaving the store. The caller made a sarcastic comment about my great customer service before ending with an insincere thanks. I tried to maintain professionalism and thanked him for calling, wishing him a nice day. But before I could finish, he interrupted with a dismissive remark and hung up on me. Just like that, and just when he was learning about the boundaries of my workplace prison. Maybe one day, I will escape the entrapment of my store. The whole interaction left me confused. I mean, who calls a store and expects an employee to physically leave their workplace to check prices at a completely different business? Did he think I could just put up a "back in 5 minutes" sign and skip across the street while leaving the register unattended? When I told my manager about it later that day, she was shocked. She asked if the caller had really expected me to abandon the store just to check poster prices for him. I said yes, he did, and added that he seemed offended when I refused. My manager told me that I'd made the right decision, pointing out the security risks and potential customer service issues if I had left the store unattended. The poster sale is done entirely in person. The company running it doesn't take phone orders. They don't ship anything. They don't hold items. They don't even have a phone. This guy would have had to physically go to the tent to buy anything anyway. So even if I had abandoned my post, risked my job and gone across the street to check prices for him, he still would have needed to come to campus himself to actually purchase a poster. The whole request was pointless from the start. The next day I was working again when I spotted a man who looked like how I imagined my collar would look. Middle-aged with sunglasses perched on his head despite being indoors. He was across the street arguing with one of the poster sale workers about something. I couldn't hear what was being said, but the poster sale worker kept shaking their head while the man got increasingly animated. Eventually, the man walked off, empty-handed. Part of me wanted to run across the street and ask the poster worker what happened, but I was physically incapable of leaving the store. Such is life in retail prison. I went shoe shopping today. Nothing too fancy. I just wanted to get a new pair of running shoes. So I'm at a local shoe store browsing the stock of good shoes at low prices, which is why I go there. I've been running for about 3 years now, and I've learned a few things about buying running shoes. I'm not into trendy new shoes. I just like ones that fit well and let me run comfortably in them and don't want to overpay. The best way to do that is to get brand name great shoes, but in prior models so the price is reduced. I found this store about a year ago when I was training for my first half marathon. My old shoes were giving me blisters, and a friend told me about this place because they carry quality brands but at discount prices. They sell last season's models that are still good but aren't the latest and greatest, which means they're cheaper. Perfect for someone like me who cares more about function than fashion. I found a nice pair of shoes and am in the process of removing them from the box so I can try them on when I hear a woman shout from the end of the row. She was loudly demanding that someone come help her put shoes on her feet and complained that she didn't have all night to wait. I figure some mother is talking to her kid in a rude way, which I've sadly heard parents do before. No kid around though. Oh well, I pay no attention and go back to checking out what I hope will be my next pair of running shoes. But soon I hear the woman again. This time she was angrily questioning what someone was doing and insisting that customers should come first. She has turned her wrath on an employee, I think. Well, they can handle themselves. Let's do some short little runs back and forth across the aisle since no one else is over here so we can see about these shoes. So I start jogging back and forth, looking at the shoes on my feet and the space near me and paying no mind to anything else. These fit great, and they're not even $40. I do believe I will buy these. Then it happens. I'm slowly jogging back to my own shoes, totally happy at getting this new pair, and I feel something slam into the back of my head. I look around and the woman with a big behind is standing there with a smug look between anger and satisfaction on her face. She started scolding me, saying I would have seen it coming if I'd been paying attention to my customers. Then she ordered me to get over there and do my job before she got me fired. It takes a few short seconds for me to process this. My mind is working. She hit me in the head with a shoe because she thinks I'm an employee. Wait, she hit me in the head with a shoe. I yelled back at her, asking if she was out of her mind and telling her I didn't work at the store. I started moving toward her, but 3 real employees came to us. The woman took the lead and launched into a tirade about how I wasn't doing my job, even though I just told her I didn't work there. I told the nearest employee what happened while she ranted to a guy who turned out to be the manager. I explained to the employee that this woman had thrown a shoe at me, hitting me in the back of the head because she thought I worked there, and I didn't even know this woman. The employee asked if I was okay. I said I thought I was fine, just more shocked than anything. Karen was loudly complaining that I had been ignoring her for 15 minutes. She claimed she had asked for help, and I just kept walking around, trying on shoes like she wasn't even there. The manager told her I didn't work at the store and was just a customer like her. Karen then tried to defend herself by asking how she was supposed to know that, claiming I looked like I worked there. I was wearing jeans and a plain gray t-shirt. The employees all wore black polo shirts with the store logo and khaki pants. The manager said that even if I had worked there, throwing merchandise at someone was bad behavior. He had been in the back working and watching the video monitors, which let him see her throw a shoe at me and hit me in the head. He asked if I was okay, and then he told Karen he was calling the police. Karen asked if he was serious about calling the police over just a shoe. She called it ridiculous and demanded to speak to the owner of the store immediately. The manager explained he was calling the police because she had hit another customer, which was a crime. She tried running away but slipped on a shoebox, falling right back onto the seat she had been on, and then she gave up on the idea of escape. A police officer arrives in a few minutes. I tell him what happened while Karen denies it and claims I threw the shoe at her. The manager says he saw the whole thing happen as I said, and even has video, which he then copies onto a USB drive. This goes into the officer's pocket before he places Karen into handcuffs and leads her out of the store. The police officer told me that they'd need me to come down to the station to give a statement if I wanted to press charges. I told him I wanted to. Karen was outraged, protesting that she was a paying customer and we couldn't do this to her. The officer warned her to stop yelling or he'd add disturbing the peace to the charges. As they were walking her out, she was still screaming about how unfair it was and how we would all regret this. I just stood there rubbing the back of my head where the shoe had hit me. The manager said sorry for what happened and asked if I was sure I was all right or if I needed medical attention. I told him I was fine, just a bump. He then offered me the shoes I've been trying on for free, saying it was the least they could do after what happened in their store. I tried to refuse, telling him he didn't need to do that as it wasn't his fault. But he insisted, saying no one should get hit while shopping for running shoes. I got my brand new pair of running shoes at the best price ever. Free thanks to the manager's insistence, even though I said he didn't need to do that. I wore those shoes for my next half marathon and set a personal record. I was around 20 years old when this happened, definitely before turning 21, since I couldn't legally buy alcohol yet in America. It was just another ordinary day at Walmart, where I was killing time browsing through the book section while waiting for my friend to finish her shift so I could drive her home. Nothing fancy about what I was doing, just picking up books, looking at the covers, reading the backs, and putting them back on the shelves. I should mention that there weren't any boxes or merchandise around me that would make anyone think I worked there. I was dressed in black leggings and a t-shirt with my college logo on it, definitely not Walmart's dress code. Plus, I'm deaf, which becomes important to this story very quickly. While I was checking out a new thriller novel, I suddenly felt someone tapping on my shoulder. I turned around to see a woman who looked to be in her 40s, looking at me expectantly. Her mouth was moving, but of course I couldn't hear what she was saying. I tried to communicate that I was deaf by pointing to my ear and shaking my head, the universal sign for "I can't hear you." Instead of understanding, this woman reached for my ears. I later found out she thought I was wearing headphones and was trying to pull them out. This was before wireless earbuds were common, so there weren't any visible wires. But still, who does that? I instinctively jerked back, moving away from her grabbing hands. My reaction made her angry. Her face turned red and her mouth opened wider. She was clearly yelling now. You don't need to hear to recognize when someone is shouting at you. I found out later that she was accusing me of pretending not to hear her and threatening that I would be fired if I didn't do what she wanted. Of course, I had no idea what she was saying. Confused and uncomfortable, I started to walk away to find my friend. That's when things got worse. The woman grabbed me roughly by the shoulders, spinning me around to face her again. She was screaming that I shouldn't walk away from her and that she was going to find my manager and get me fired. She then started looking around and yelling for a manager. I was completely confused by what was happening. Thankfully, my friend spotted the commotion and rushed over. She immediately started signing to me, asking what was going on. I managed to shake myself free from the woman's grip and signed back that I had no idea. When the woman saw us signing to each other, her eyes widened. She started accusing us of flashing gang signs and claiming we were planning to kill her. My friend, who can hear and speak, quickly tried to calm things down by explaining that I was deaf and couldn't hear the woman and asking her to leave us alone. Before the woman could respond, a teenage boy walked up to her side and told her he was ready to go. The woman refused, saying they weren't leaving until she got her alcohol from the locked cabinet and until I helped her as an employee. A Walmart employee in a blue vest finally came over to us. When asked about the problem, the woman complained that I had been rude, ignoring her and refusing to do my job. The employee told her that I didn't work there and offered to help her instead. The woman didn't believe him and demanded to speak to the store manager. The employee called for the assistant store manager, who came over and repeated that I didn't work there. The woman rolled her eyes, clearly still not believing them. My friend and I took this opportunity to walk away. As we headed toward the exit, I could see the woman still yelling, gesturing wildly at us. She was shouting for me to come back and do my job and saying that this was all a conspiracy to make her look stupid. As we were leaving the store, we saw something unexpected. The woman was being escorted out by police officers in handcuffs. After we left, she had pushed one of the actual Walmart employees who tried to help her. An officer came up to me in the parking lot and asked if I wanted to press charges for assault since she had grabbed me. I said no. Despite what happened, I didn't want her getting locked up for too long. I didn't know if she was a single mother, and I didn't want her son to suffer because his mom had a bad day and made some awful choices. The system can be pretty rough once you're in it. My friend disagreed with my choice. She thought the woman should face problems for grabbing me. I understood where my friend was coming from, but I stood by my choice. The woman was already facing charges for pushing the Walmart employee anyway. The whole thing bothered me more than I first realized. It took me almost 3 months before I felt comfortable going back into a Walmart by myself. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.